Hello, people. This is Mac. Today I have another special guest with me who is on with me with the reparations. If you haven't seen that, you should take a look at it because it's packed full of information as to why we should have reparations. But today we go in a little different direction here, and I think this is just for education because this video has been out a while, but I think it's very prevalent today because of things that's happening in our society, especially with our young people and the police. And that's why I invited Bob on here to give he has teenage grandsons, and he can understand some of these things that's going on. Rather, he can put a different perspective on these particular things. Now, this video I'm going to show you, it shows two Bridgewater, New Jersey police officer responding to an altercation with a young black kid. He's in the eighth grade, I believe, and a high school kid, a white kid. He may have been Latino, but he was still classified as white. I don't know why people try to make a distinction there. One officer had the white kid to sit on a nearby couch while the black kid was thrown to the ground and placed in handcuffs. Now, the officers have been accused of displaying racial bias. So we're gonna take a look at this video here and just see what this is all about.
Oh shit! Yo!
You took a look at that, and what do you think of that? It happened in about a minute, I guess, or less. What's your opinion on that? What's your perspective?
Well, Mac, I just saw two teenagers punching each other, and then I saw the police come, and as you pointed out, and the video clearly shows it. The young Caucasoid boy was set on the couch and consoled by the female officer, and the young Negroid boy was thrown on the ground, and knees were put on his back, much like they did George Floyd when they put the knee on his neck. And that's probably a tactic that they teach in the training in the police academies, to put that knee on, and they probably thought, well, maybe we can handle him without putting the knee on this young Negroid boy's neck. So they put the knee on the shoulder. And it didn't seem as though the young Negroid boy was hurt that much by the mischievous act of the police. So I think that they should probably just let it go, because that's the kind of thing that parents, black parents, Negroid parents, should tell their kids. I think, and that is that you live in the most racist country in the world. That's a fact. There is no such thing as implicit bias. It's explicit bias. You are not liked by the Caucasoid race. 82% of them, and you see this. They don't talk about this statistic, but if Negroids people start moving into a neighborhood, when the population change gets a 12%, that neighborhood will generally flip to a Negroid neighborhood. So you live in a community that is explicitly biased toward the Caucasoid race. So you have to conduct yourself like that. And if you've got a Caucasoid girlfriend and you're a young Negroid boy, you just have to be aware of that. You have to be prepared to defend yourself at all costs at any time. And that's just the way it is. That's America.
Well, the thing it is, what we found out on with this particular case situation, Bob, is the young man, I think his name was Hussein, he came to the aid of a seventh grader who was his friend, because the older boy, high school boy, was picking on the other kid. And he came up to defend him. And that's how it started. And the guy, as you can see, put his fingers in his face and everything. And that's when the tussle began. But the whole point of the matter is, it's not about whether or not you're black or you're white or whatever. I mean, I've been a teenager as well as you have, and we've gotten in fights. At least I have. And we fought to see who would win most of the times. And I used to tell my boys, I got two boys, I used to tell them, I said, when boys fight, they fight to see who win. When men fight, they fight to draw blood. So I just want you to be aware that as you get older, that you stay out of fights, even now, So you shouldn't try to get into any fights. But if it comes at you, then you have to do what you have to do to defend yourself. And in this particular case, similar to my own case, when I got into a fight and a teacher or someone came and they broke the fight up. And once they broke the fight up, they escorted both boys, in my case, me and the other kid, up to the principal's office. I mean, didn't everybody wrestle and throw me on the ground? But albeit I was the smallest one, because the other guy was a guard on the football team, But and that's the same situation that we look for with police officers. I mean, just because they run up there and they see the bigger kid, he's got the other little kid on the ground, and they gently pulls the white kid, sits him on the couch, while the other cop, the male cop, immediately tackles the black guy who's already turning him over so he can handcuff him. And the other woman leaves the other kid sitting over there. She comes back down and kneels on him. Now, I mean, I don't care whether we're an American or racist society or whatever. If you want to walk around and we're going to say that this is our country too, then we should be getting that same due process and same respect when it comes to policing. And if the police officers don't know how to do that, then I don't think they should be on the police department. Now that's my take on this, Bob. And I can understand where you were going on that. And I think that we have an obligation as parents to teach our black kids about racism in this society and what's happening. I mean, I was in a situation not too long ago myself, and I had to check myself. I was in a store and a Panera Bread, matter of fact, and I had ordered coffee and a scone, a sweet roll, and I never got the coffee. And I'm done with the sweet rolls. I'm ready to go. It's been 20 minutes, and she kept telling me, "Oh, we're gonna bring some out." They never. And I asked, I said, "Well, just give me my refund." "Oh, we don't give refunds." And I went ballistic. I said, "Hey, you give me my money." And then the manager comes out from the back there, and there was a little confrontation. And I said, "Wait a minute, Mac, you got to calm down here." Now I said, we're not talking about a whole lot of money right here, but I know you got this principal thing in mind, and she's gonna call the police." But I said, "No, I better beat her to that." So I left and went and got the police myself. I didn't bring them back to the store, but in the long run, it gave me time to get a clear head, because I know if those police had come there, no matter what, I'm going to be the first one looked at because of my color, my skin tone, and they're going to be immediately attacking me. And this is so the best way to I thought the best way to do it was to contact the company. I never heard back from the CEO, but I did hear back from the head manager of that store, who refunded me the $30 I had spent there that evening and apologized. And I accepted that. And she said it was partly her fault because she told the people not to give out refunds for coffee, which was a very stupid thing to tell people, unless you train them also to make the coffee. And you shouldn't be selling any coffee if it's cold. If I wanted cold coffee, I would ask for cold coffee. So the thing it is, we have to teach our on a continuous basis, Bob, like you were saying, that we live in a racist society, and we don't see this ending anytime soon in our lifetime, or maybe their lifetimes. So they should be cognizant of their surroundings and who they're dealing with. And I'd never tell my son at no time should he back down from a fight if he's defending something, and if it's worth defending. And kids are gonna fight anyway. But I mean, these cops came in there. They want to be gentle. It reminds me of the time that this rough guy in South Carolina, I believe, he had walked into this church and he shot and killed 9 people in that church, Bob. And then the police, it was reported that the police told him they didn't have any, that it was the dinner time was over at the jail, and asked him, did he want to get a Burger King? He acquiesced, and they took him to Burger King and bought him a Whopper. Now that's how they treat their own. Not all in all cases now, but in the cases when they come against another black person, African American, or whatever you want to identify as. But that's how they treat them and their own.
Hello, still hear me?
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate what you said, Mac. But not only is America a racist country, but America is the pinnacle of racism in the world, and it sets the standard for racism throughout the world. So as a young person of color, they should know that. Their parents should emphasize that with them. Let them know that you're on the totem pole or you're on the ladder, but you're at the bottom rung of the ladder. It doesn't mean that you're any less of a human being. We're not talking about humanity here. We're talking about sociological standards. And it has
Stratification.
we're talking about right racial stratification, and the reality is that the Caucasoid race uh, is in control of this country and has been since it was taken from the Native American, and they've got a tight grip on it, and they're not about to let it go by some 21st century descendants of slaves. And you can see that in every instance of the operation of the country. And you don't need to be angry about it. Just understand it and conduct yourself in a manner consistent with the way, with your understanding. For example, we elect blacks to represent us, Negroid representatives to represent us at all levels of government, from city councils to the Congress of the United States. And in every instance that we have an elected official, they will always, and I emphasize always, defer to the Caucasoid race in any of their decisions. That's just the way it is. I mean, I may not like that, but I understand that I'm a Negroid human being. And in this society in America, you have to understand that you are a second class, stratified citizen, and you're never going to be first class. So just accept that.
One of the things is I like to show a video on another blog, a video blog log in there that shows the difference when a white man or woman exercise their First Amendment right or their civil rights, how they are treated versus when a black person exercise his or her right. And totally different in how they are treated. And so this is a as you point out so admirably there, that this is definitely a racist society that we live in, and it's something that we have to get used to, but continue to fight to make corrections on it. We can't just lay down and roll over, because I've never done that in my life, even as a kid growing up in the segregated South. I didn't roll over with any of those people. And one guy told my father that one day a white man was going to kill me. My father told him, yeah, over my dead body. So I just had to be cautious and aware of my environment and what I did. And so even today, when I'm stopped by the police, I know that they have the authority, they have the backing of the police department, and they got the code, the blue code, and all this other stuff that they have to protect themselves, and many times they have the prosecutor's office protecting them. Even though you can see a little bit of this changing, but not that much. There's been, I don't know, thousands of police killings in this country, and I guess a minuscule of a percentage of the ones that's been prosecuted and found guilty. So, so it's still the same thing. They might hang out a few to dry when they can't prove or use their other little loopholes to get them off of the particular crime that they have committed. So what we have to do is continue to fight to make these things right. And it's changing to some extent, maybe not as fast as you or I or other people would like to see, because what that old adage that comes out with, say, Rome wasn't built in a day. And so that's true about this society that we live in. I mean, the racism in it, it's been embedded in this society since the creation of this nation. I heard the other day that I believe it was before the Civil War, I believe there was like 12 presidents who owned slaves. You know what I mean? And I don't mean just one or two slaves. I mean hundreds of slaves. That's what helped made them rich back in those days. Slaves were a human being was the most valuable property that they owned. So how do we expect, after what, almost 300 years of this, how do we expect for it to turn around today? And like I said in another video about, they created the Ku Klux Klans after the Civil War to keep the blacks in their place with terrorism. Fast forward to the 60s, where the Ku Klux Klans kind of died down somewhat. And what they use now is the blue, the police. That's who they terrorize the blacks now in their neighborhoods and their homes. I mean, it's just, that's the way it is. And the thing that gets me is that we should terrorize. I don't mean, whatever you think that means. You should get out there and terrorize too, if you think that's going to make some changes. Otherwise, bend over and just take it, Bob. That's all I can say on that.
Well, let's flip the script on that incident between those two boys that were fighting in the mall. If that had been two Negroid officers, and they had set the black boy down on the couch and put the Caucasoid boy on the ground, I think the outrage would have been much more voluminous. But we, as 21st century slaves, we don't do that because we know our place in this society. You know, W.E.B. Du Bois used to talk about the talented 10th. Well, we still have the talented 10th in America today. 10% of the descendants of slaves in America are not confronted with that kind of nonsense. Those black officers probably would have been more violent towards the black child than they were the Caucasoid boy, because that's the way we take the training of the Caucasoid very seriously. And they tell, look, you go out there and you do this to them, and you do this to us, and that's what we do, because we know that our dinner, the rent, the car payment is all predicated on undergirding this system of racism and white supremacy. And this, frankly, I think it's a good thing. I think it's good that America is like this, because today it can be shown all over the world, the hypocrisy, how they do the race in this country, whose backs this country was built upon and still stands upon, how they preach one thing, but they won't invite you to the altar call. So
Right.
I'm very happy to see those kinds of incidents. I think George Floyd, although it's a tragedy he had to lose his life, but to see those Caucasoids do what they did to him was just a minor example of what's done every day when a Negroid goes into a bank and is choked off from the finances that he might need to purchase a home for his family. That's just as violent,
Or to start a business.
you know.
You're
So,
you're
so
you're
I'm
so,
grateful to be able to see these things today back and articulate them to my progeny
well.
and let
That's
them.
well. That's a good observation there, Bob. That you've outlined there. But one of the things that you brought up about how the black officers would have been worse on the black kid. You know, it was amazing. I listened to one black officer on a discussion about this, and he said, well, they did everything right, those police officers. They went in there and they took the kid down, and but the only thing they should have handcuffed the other guy though. But he is see nothing wrong with the way the guy attacked the black kid though, you know.
Right.
Like you said, if he had been on duty there, he would have done the same thing. Because you know they ingrained it, especially in the minds of many of us, that we are the enemy. You know what I mean? And so we are afraid of each other, and it makes it more uh, obvious though when you see and listen rather to the hip hop rap and stuff, and then you see the kids out there that's walking the streets and how they are acting and how they are shooting and killing each other. So they've got it all figured out here. How they social engineered that, you know. So that makes when a black person sees this young brother coming down the street, he moves over to the other side because he's afraid of him, you know. Now, if it was a white guy walking down the street, he wouldn't move over to the other side. At one time, he would have, but not today. Now they're trying to make blacks, the youth, as the thugs and the terrorists within the black community, as well as like the majority society looks at our black youth. But anyway, Bob, this has been a great discussion here, and I really appreciate you coming on there. And I'd like for you to have the last word here before I sign off.
Well, I don't think there's much that I can add to what I've already said back. I'm just grateful to be living in racist America. I'm a real American. I'm a true blue, red and white American. I believe in the church. I believe in the institutions of the racist institutions of America, and I'm grateful to be able to see them in action. Because when I see the way the first responders treat the Negroid race versus the Caucasoid race, all that does is reaffirm in my mind how racist America is. And I applaud America for its racism, because if it was not as racist as it is, it would lose this country. The Caucasoids would lose this country to people of color. So they got to keep us under the knee, with the knee on the neck. They've got to keep us in that position. So I say, God bless America. God keep America. And that's about it, Mac.
Well, thanks, Bob. Thanks again for your observations and your perspective on this situation, and maybe we'll talk more about some of the things that blacks can do uh, to get out from under the yoke and the knee, and in a future episode. So, people, thank you for tuning in and listening to us for this episode. I appreciate it very much, and please subscribe so we can continue to come your way. Appreciate it, and have a great one.